I love the One Piece trading card game, and I love to spend money on this game efficiently. Buying singles for your deck has always been the most cost-effective way of building a deck, but in this challenge, we throw that all away. Each week, I use a budget of $30 to open sealed product in the hopes of adding new cards to our deck. But since we can only play cards in our color, any cards we can't use, we can trade away. And there are additional buffs locked behind certain challenges. Join me in my journey as I rise up to become the King of the Pirates. You're watching One Piece from Scratch. Welcome back, Pirates, to another episode of One Piece from Scratch, and yes, the ban list almost completely slaughtered our deck. The Moria hit was bad enough, but our searchable Ice Age leaving 2, that hurt so bad. I have a very special episode planned for next week where we're going to be sending off our smoker list, at least at its full power. I still have some things cooked up for the list for post-ban list, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But today, I will be participating in a pre-release tournament for set 10. I am super excited to rip open some new packs of the new sets today, and there is a bounty tied to the pre-release winner card, so hopefully I'll have the opportunity to knock it out today. With everyone else at the shop essentially playing their own version of From Scratch today, we have a completely leveled playing field, so let's take advantage of that and hopefully walk away with a dub today. Alright, gamers, we are at the pre-release. We've got 6 packs of the newest sets, set 10, Royal Blood. Uh-oh, someone pulled a Dawn. We'll start with this since we already know what's going to be in here.
Don't use the buggy, don't use the law, the Luffy is as you see fit.
I think you heard that, so we're not going to be playing the buggy or the law. We are locked to the Rainbow Luffy. So of course we've had one of these on the channel before, so we already know what it does.
Come on, 2 Dawn packs?
You stole someone's Dawn, dude.
Hey, it's a pretty Dawn.
Alright, and then the stamped cards. Oh, the Nami and Hack. I actually don't know what that does. We'll read it later, but a 4-5, we might consider playing that, and then Vanillas, of course, we are going to play a good amount of them. So, coming into pack 1, if I could manage my trash a little bit better. We got a blocker. Already very nice, so we're going to make this the automatically going in. A 4-5, we'll put it in this file for now and we'll read later. Vanilla, that's Frankie, Vanilla. If you have Tontada's type character other than Beyond, character gains blocker. So it's conditional blocker, but it does specify the character, so we're probably not. Cavendish, Godthread, we'll put this here to read in a second. Killer, 3-5, potentially good. Usopp Leader, unfortunately we cannot play that, but for the series we do have access to that now. Radio Knife, another one that we'll read. Oh, this says KO, so I'm just probably going to put this here. Cavendish, when attacking, draw 2 cards, trash 1 card from your hand. That is really good, and it's vanilla stat line. Coming into pack number 2. Not hearing anyone scream with excitement, so I don't think any mangas have been pulled. Punk Hazard. Leader Caesar Clown, give 1 rested Dawn card to one of your Oh, we are definitely running that because our leader is going to be Caesar Clown. That's how the Rainbow Luffy works. I'm going to put that there. Haruden, Emporio Ivankov, we'll read that in a second. Gum Gum, Rhino, Schneider. 10 or more cards in your trash? Probably not. It's going to be a little hard to do that. Okay, we are getting a lot of vanillas, so maybe we got to like parse down our vanillas. May rest one of your Dressrosa type leader stage cards. One of your leader Monkey the Luffy's gains banish. But it's a 2K, so we're gonna put that there. Did I miss any 2Ks? Not yet. Koala. Well, we'll read that later. That is a 2K. Sugar, we cannot play, but that's a leader. Virgo, that's a searcher, but we're probably not gonna have much consistency there. And a blocker, so of course that's going in. We're gonna read that fully later. What is that? Oh my gosh, that's a... Oh, that's not coming up well. Oh, there it is. That is the manga law.
I don't control that, Jimbo.
That is our TO. Okay. Alright, a manga has been pulled, so we're probably not going to get that manga bounty done this episode. Unfortunate, but yeah. Very cool to see. We got Blue Gilly, 3-5, of course, 4-6. We'll read that later. Blocker, of course, going in. Yellow Supernova's type character other than Scratchman of Pooh. So that's going to be like a pretty hard maybe, but it is a blocker. bottom decking, that's going to be really good. 5/7. We're going to read this later.
It doesn't make me
4/5 once per turn. KO'd. Rest 2 of your active Dawn cards instead. Probably not. We're just going to put that over there. Read later. If you have 2 or more rested characters, draw 3 cards, trash 2 cards from your hand. Ooh, whoa. Very nice. Uh-oh. That's an alt art smoker. Very nice. That is definitely going to go in. But we've got some nice value there.
go pretty good.
I think I saw some heads turn when I said that, so maybe we'll even get it traded off. We got Bartolomeo. That's a blocker. We're going to read that later. 5/7, 5/6. What is this? Leader has Navy. Rest 2 of your opponent's characters with. Oh my good golly. 5/7. Rest 1 of your opponent's leader character cards with a cost of 5 or less. Honestly, that might be good. Trash's character. Nope, that's terrible.
Yeah,
Read later. Main counter, rest. KO 1 of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 7 or less. Potentially good. 2K, definitely going in. Play up to 1 Punk Hazard type character card with a cost of 2 or less from your hand. Probably not. Blocker, going in. Divine Departure, very nice.
I think
you can use the stamped cards, but not the leader or buggy.
Okay.
No alt art leader.
I mean, you can use the leader. It's just Luke.
We got the Brook. Rest this character. When you dress rest of leaders. Cost of 1, then trash 2 card. No, that's terrible. We'll read this in a second. If you have 1 or less characters with 6k power or more, this character gains 1,000 power during the turn. That's a very hard maybe. Vanilla. If you have 2 or more rested characters, get 1 of your opponents.
I think I might be trading it.
Then KO 1 of your.
Frank, because he's got all dark Kuzans for me.
Up to 1 leader or character gains 3,000 power. Oh, that's a counter event. Probably going in. KO 1 of your opponents. 7 warlords of the sea type characters with a cost of 8 or less. We'll do some research into some of that. We'll read that. Got the kid leader, Sabo, that's a 2K. And Senor Pink. Add 1 purple event, so this is probably going to be a harder sell. And then coming into the last pack, did we get a Dawn pack, or did Bronum steal all the Dawn?
You're welcome.
Not a Dawn pack. Bartolomeo, that's a blocker. 6/8. 2 Thriller Bark Pirates from your trash. Probably not. Same thing here. Really hard conditions. We're going to put this here. Blocker. Of course, we're going to run that. Dressrosa type leader.
You'll need these.
I will. Yeah, probably not. And 1 Kinemon. That's very specific. 1 or less life up to 1 of your leader characters. Then set up to 1 of your. Ooh. We'll consider this.
I think this is one of the worst.
Gemma Searcher, and then
I only have like 6 2Ks.
probably not on this. Actually,
Most of my
this will probably put a lot of tempo. So, boom. Okay, we've got a lot of like vanillas.
No,
which is
I think
like
I got 2 babes.
it's really cool, but we're probably going to like trim down how many vanillas we're actually going to play.
also
But
got
of course,
3,
the biggest pull here is going to be this. So hopefully this can win us some games. All right, let's put together a list and then we'll come back for that.
I got 3 of them.
Let's take a look at
we
this
pull Manga
Manga Law. Congrats, that looks beautiful.
I didn't think anyone did.
Should have been me.
That thumbnail is crazy.
Love you anyways, Grant.
It was out there.
It was?
It was out there from the get.
It was?
All
All right, so we got an extra
Big cards are drawn. No Dawn. No
thingy pack, pre-release pack. We got another stamp pack and another pack to open that we are clear to use for the event and deck building. So let's hop right in. Of course, we can't use anything in. Oh, I should have kept this sealed. What am I doing? Maybe unless we need to trade the buggy off.
Oh, I got a little black bears. We're cooking now.
For the stamped cards, hopefully we can get some
It's alright.
some
It's a
value
3 for 4,
here.
but if you have 7 or more Dawn and 5 or less.
Oh my gosh,
cards,
another Nami.
So
Are
it's
you
not-
kidding me? Look at this. Lance, look at this. Why am I getting 2 of the same stamped card?
Because you're a lucky boy.
No. And then the new gate, I think that was in like the maybe pile.
Oh yeah.
Show me a red.
Yeah, I got that too.
We're
The best
cooking.
card in the deck.
What'd you get?
Yes, you can
Oh yeah.
Wait,
Loki.
still need the Blackbeards in the set.
Oh, that's the top part of the Kinemon.
yes.
I don't think that's good
This
though.
one.
We'll
And this
read
one.
that later.
There's a
Loki,
few.
let's just look for 2Ks
There's a
and
few.
blockers.
That's why I said I didn't want it now, 'cause there's
blocker,
really
very
not much.
nice. We're gonna
I will
put
say
that
though,
here.
if you can,
If I rush Blackbeard,
if you could, I was gonna say, if you have Rush
And
Jesus,
no
think I
2K,
have
another
Rush
blocker.
because bare minimum you can swing. He can't be removed.
And
you
we'll
swing
read the
with
rest of
him,
these
blow him
later.
up, draw a
So
card.
nothing
Dude,
crazy in here,
no
but
Rush Jesus.
7 packs for our deck is pretty good.
Let me know, then we'll get the first
All right,
round
one
filled,
more.
so we'll get
Let's
everybody into the
get
same
this.
event.
All right, one more goodie before we
All you guys are done
finish
here?
up deck building. We do have a welcome pack, and we got another Frankie. That's a 2K, so that's going in straight into the deck. All right, so in terms of what we're actually going to be playing, of course, we are forced to run the Rainbow Luffy here. And then in terms of blockers, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blockers. So about a quarter of our deck is going to be blockers, which is pretty good since these still have pretty decent stat lines, 4, 5, and then we got a 5, 6 here. But these ones are going to be the ones that are mainly going to be some of our lower cost blockers. And then in terms of 2Ks, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Got 8 2Ks. Very clutch. We did get the Frankie, so yeah, that's what we're running defensively. Of course, we have some events there, but we'll get to those in a second. And then in terms of other cards, I'll namely just rifle off if any of them have like pretty notable effects. This one has a draw 2 trash 1 on when attacking, so that's going to be really good, and he's a 4/6. Got some vanillas. We do have the smileys. I think this is going to be really good in terms of gaining tempo, since this does give minus 3K on play. Inazuma, since this does count combined life, so if we do have our opponent has like blockers up on their last, or when we're trying to go for game, we can rest something with that. And then we do have the Smoker, 3 new gates. This card is nuts. And Nell, we've got a few vanillas here, 7 costs, and then some of the events we're running. This Punk Hazard is pretty cool. It basically just gives us a Dawn every turn. We did get the Divine for Departure, which is going to be really good, and we do have like, what, 4 KO events? So yeah, we're like literally getting paired for round 1 right now, so we'll check in between rounds, see if I throw in and out some different cards, but this is what we're going to be running. Alright, so coming into round 1, we are going to be versus Rainbow Luffy. Of course, we're going to be versus Rainbow Luffy. It's going to be versus Rainbow Luffy the whole day. So we're not going to be talking a whole bunch about deck building, since unless you got like a crazy pull, you're going to be running into basically the same stuff. You're going to be running into a lot of blockers, a lot of the 4/5 blockers especially, and a lot of vanillas, especially as you get past the 4 Dawn turn. So we're instead going to be talking about some decisions regarding tempo. So the first idea of tempo that I want to talk to specifically in the sealed format is actually searchers. So there are some things that you want to be looking for when you have a searcher, when you pull a searcher. One is that you have enough things to make it worthwhile, that you have enough targets to actually try and hit. Another thing is you don't want to play it unless it has a good body. So take, for example, this Killer. When KO'd, you can search the top 3 if you have supernovas in your type, and obviously Rainbow Luffy is a supernova. So when you play this kid out, it is a efficient stat line of 3/5, so you are still developing a threat, and it does have a conditional search, which isn't as good as an on-play search, but you are still developing a threat compared to this Sugar that got played on our opponent's side, which it's 1 Dawn to play it out, and then 1 Dawn to rest it to search. And I would rather use that 2 Dawn to develop a stronger swing, so I would rather use that 2 Dawn to attach to my Luffy and be able to swing 7K, since, again, we're already going to not have as many targets as we want to because we're playing sealed, and we're using 2 Dawn to occupy that space. I'm not saying that sticking to one archetype and then using its searcher is going to be a bad idea, especially if you have a lot of targets and a lot of strong targets. So like if you had the 8-cost Doflamingo and then you had the 5-cost Diamante to try and get that combo going. I'm not saying that not trying to go for that combo and using the searcher to try and fish for that combo is a bad idea necessarily, but I'm saying that it's going to be a little bit harder to justify that space in your deck and trying to find 2 Dawn to use for it when you can be using it to swing 7K. Coming back to my turn, I am going to actually swing my leader into the blocker, which if you're the opponent and you see that someone's swinging to one of your chump blockers, blockers, you're going to feel good since, you know, it did its job as a blocker. It ate up an attack. But for me, I wanted to guarantee that next turn I had game, so I wanted to make sure that this blocker didn't stick, and so I just took the 5k swing that I had and swung it right into the blocker. And would you look at that, our opponent actually did have the Doflamingo into Rosinante or Diamante combo, so that's still funny to see that he got it even though he didn't get the search off. So we're going to commit the rest of the attacks into his life, and we're going to clear it out. He doesn't have enough counter, and that's GG.
Update to the deck. I am going to take out one copy of this. I'm not really too sure if I really like it, because like we could KO a bunch of like 5 costs. Well, not a bunch, but we have the potential to KO like 5 costs, because 5 costs is like super relevant in this seal. But realistically, I don't think it's going to be all that impactful. We already saw how much work Inazuma is going to be putting in, so having a second copy is probably going to be really good there. So that's the only change we're going to make going into round 2.
Speaking of round 2, we're going to be versus Lance, and he is playing the live action version of the Rainbow Luffy. Ooh, very fancy. And then we're going to see Lance just attaches 3 Dawn to our leader, or his leader, and then swings in. Of course, we're going to take that. We don't want to be giving away too many cards in the beginning of the game, and that does feel good that he doesn't develop a blocker here. Speaking of, I am going to use 4 Dawn to develop a blocker of my own, being the Frankie. So the Frankie actually has a really funny off 1 KO'd effect to be able to play a Dressrosa type with, I think, cost 3 or less. So in case we do see the Moosey blocker, we could actually, or the Moosey 2K, and we do use it as a 2K, we can actually play it off that, which I think is kind of funny. And I'm going to have a very strong, very demanding star playing that 5-cost Smoker, being able to let me play 1 Dawn further into each of my turns. So that's going to be huge in terms of attaching Dawn to my characters, being able to swing, and just being able to have more Dawn to play on each turn. I'm going to use Radio Knife to its full effect here. I'm going to be able to rest the blocker and then KO a 5-cost, so that's going to get rid of the Sengoku. That means I don't have to swing into it and then try and attach more Dawn to be able to swing into it. Instead, I can attach Dawn to my leader and then swing into his blocker, clear his board that way. So we're very ahead on tempo. We're going to be able to control the board here very well. And he is going to establish a pretty strong board of his own. He does have the Inazuma to potentially rest one of my blockers, and then he establishes 2 blockers of his own. I'm going to start by swinging 7 with my Smoker with Banish, and he does give me a blocker because he is low on cards and he doesn't want to get that life banished. I'm going to swing 6 into his life, and of course he's going to take it because he wants to advance some cards from life to hand, and I do establish the Frankie, which is going to be very strong once it comes back to my turn. He does start by resting my blocker and swinging into life, and of course I'm going to take here, and then I think he actually sequences this turn wrong. He does use UFO to be able to lower my Tashigi, or my Smoker, and then swing 6 into it, and I do give a whole lot of counter, but then he blows it up anyways. I think it would have been smarter if he used the UFO immediately to be able to lower my Smoker and then swing the Inazuma into it and then resting my blocker. And then if that doesn't go through, then swing the leader into it and then use the Radio Knife or whatever event it was to be able to KO my Frankie. If he did that, then he would have been able to get a lot more board clear and then not advance another card from my life to my hand. He's going to have to eventually work it anyways, but then he's getting a lot more tempo on board. On his next turn, he is going to be clearing my board a bit, but as soon as it comes back to me, I see he's got no blockers and I've got pretty big bodies. I'm just going to start swinging perfect numbers. I'm going to swing that first one, swing that second one, attach the rest, and that's going to be game. GG. Coming into round 3, it is going to be versus a good friend of mine and an avid supporter of the channel, Dom, and he also has the live-action Luffy for today. Obviously, he's got a really strong start here, being able to go second, getting that extra card draw for going second, and then on top of that, establishing a 2 Dawn blocker for his turn. I actually think he did give me the blocker a little bit too early in comparison. I think that it's pretty easy, especially in the early game, to give a 1k counter to get out of a 5k swing if you do want to protect the life, or just take the life right there instead. That way, once you start establishing a lot bigger bodies, let's say you have a 5-7 on the board, it's going to be a lot harder for me to try and remove that by swinging into it, so maybe I would swing a 9 into the rested 7k body. Then if I were to do that, he could just use one of his chump blockers and still keep it safe. It's going to make his bigger bodies a lot more threatening and a lot more oppressive. It's kind of like how when you play an 8-cost kid and then you use his effect to get a blocker on the side of the field, he does have extra protection and he's extra safe that way. So 2 things that happened on that turn, which I didn't really get to talk about, is that I used the Cavendish swing to be able to draw 2 and trash 1, so that's going to be able to let me cycle through my hand a little bit more and see potentially more threats that way. And on top of that, I did use the God Thread to be able to remove his 5-cost body before it was able to attack, so he's not going to get any value out of that, and on top of that, I did get to ramp off of that, so that feels really good for me. Coming back to Dom's turn, he is going to start to establish this 5-cost blocker Bartolomeo, and then he's going to use Punk Hazard to be able to attach Arrested, and then swing in for 7. I am going to give counter for that because I do want to stay at this 3 life total, and I do want to save that blocker again for what I was saying. I want to be able to make my bigger bodies a lot stronger by having them have protection through that blocker. So I am going to attach the rest of my Don to my leader, swing in, he's going to give me that Bartolomeo blocker. Our opponent is having a really tough time trying to establish a board here because a lot of his board is going to be blockers, and it's essential that those blockers are going to be blocking attacks going to his life. Otherwise, if he goes down to 0 life, I can just simply attach everything to my leader and swing. So it's going to be really hard for him to try and build a board because of that. I'm going to swing in with my leader, he's going to give me 4k counter, and then I'm going to swing in with my Harden, he's going to give me the blocker, and I'm going to establish another 4/5 blocker. These blockers are so good for sealed formats, and they are so plentiful, the 4/5 blocker, especially because they're still a threat that you can swing with. They don't have to have any sort of Dawn attachment to be able to swing and try and threaten the leader, so they're really good in that avenue. But we don't really need that coming into this turn since we don't see any defense. We're going to swing the 9 here and then attach everything to our leader, swing in, and that's going to be GG.
Quick update before we go into the next round. I did sub out this card for another blocker. I didn't know that I wasn't playing this blocker, but we are throwing it in. I felt like this is not going to get a whole lot of value, especially because like 6k power, we're not hitting like high Dawn cost for that, and considering it's 5 cost, it's not really that good. But Trigger's awesome, but don't worry about it.
Coming into round 4, we actually are going to be fighting for first and second. The pair down for this round did lose, so yeah, we are back in the finals for 2 weeks in a row. That feels really good. That also means that we have secured ourselves a winner buggy, so that feels really good. That's pretty expensive right now, especially because if you want to play buggy, if you want to try and make that leader meta relevant, then you are going to need that card, and that is going to be the highest rarity version of that. Our opponent is going to start off by establishing 2 blockers, but there are more chump blockers, the Bellamy a little bit less so, and I'm going to have a blocker of my own, but I am going to use it to just swing in with it. I do play the Smiley here. Unfortunately, I'm not going to use it for its effect. Rather, I'm just going to establish it as a 5/6 body. It's really fortunate that my Frankie did not get swung into, and you'll see in a minute, so I'm going to start off my turn by swinging with the Smiley, swinging with the Frankie, and now because I do have 2 rested characters on my side of the field, I'm able to activate the Enel on play to be able to draw 3 and trash 2, which was honestly super good for me because my hand at that point was completely nuts. It like completely fixed my hand, my curves, so I think that really set me up very well. Our opponent is going to use the Gum Gum UFO to be able to lower my Smiley by 4, and I think he honestly overcommitted that swing of the 7k into a 2k. I think if he was going to swing with that Bellamy anyways, I think I'd rather him just swing the Bellamy into it, so it's a little bit more Dawn efficient, and then you can use the 7k for a little bit more impactful of a swing, but I am going to play a Smiley and then lower the San Juan Wolf, and I'm going to swing in with my Frankie. He doesn't want to give me the 2-1, so he is going to be able to let it go. I'm going to swing my 6 into the Bellamy, and I'm actually surprised that he's giving me counter for this, especially because he did let it go on the second swing here. I was just trying to clear out the board to try and get myself in a really good position board-wise, but yeah, I think that in that position you just let it die because as a blocker it did its job of eating an attack. On my turn, I'm going to start with the Frankie swing because the Marco does have an on KO to be able to return a 4 cost or less back to the owner's hand, so if I didn't lead with that Frankie swing, then it's going to be returned back to hand, so I definitely want to make sure that I'm getting full offensive value from that, and I'm going to establish another blocker and then use the stage as well as an active Dawn to be able to swing 7, and he's going to be put down to 0 life, so we're going to be in a really good spot, especially because we are pretty healthy on life and we do have a blocker here. I've got a really wide board, so I don't exactly mind letting some bodies go. As long as he doesn't establish some sort of blocker here and on top of a event, I'm going to feel really good going into my turn. So once we do see that there's no sort of defense here, I am going to start with the Frankie, try and bait out the event. He does give me counter for it, but I'm going to attach everything to my Bartolomeo blocker. He does use the event here to be able to draw, but that's not going to matter, and that's going to be GG's.
So that was last round, and we did win it out, so we got 2 winner buggies, very nice. we got another participation thing with another buggy, so if we ever end up playing buggy, we do have a play set technically. And then we got some extra, we got another welcome pack and then some tournament packs. So let's crack these open. Rosinante. Now, I don't think these are the winner ones. So we got Kamazo. Pudding. Last one. Sanji.
So we ended the day at 4-0, pushing our overall record to 59-26. Being our big victor for today means I got to walk away with 2 of the winner pre-release buggies, which look super beautiful. I actually went out to another pre-release the day after, but I didn't choose to record that since I've got a bunch of other stuff that I want to do for the channel, but I ended up getting second at that one, so I added another buggy to my personal collection. So I've got just 3 sitting around right now. I also love that our store gives us a 7th pack to use for our pre-release as well as a welcome pack, so that means we do get a little bit extra value for the series. We also completed a few bounties, which we always love to see since that means we can bling out our deck even further. Well, that wraps it up for this pre-release weekend, and I'll see you for next week where we're going to have a very special episode where we send off our deck at full power. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the content, drop a like and sub to the channel. The more subscribers we get, the closer we inch to the big sub bounty. And speaking of bounties, don't forget to leave a comment suggesting your new bounty. New waves of bounties drop every 5 episodes. And while you're down there, let me know your thoughts on today's episode. Until next time, drink your water, pass out love, hugs, kisses, mwah.